Hey, chickadees. Today, we're going to continue our exploration of relationships, and we're going to talk about the law of giving and receiving and how important reciprocity is in our relationships. So come on in and join us. All right, chickadees, welcome in. So today we continue our conversation about relationships. And we are using the Wisdom of the Oracle card deck by Colette Baron Reed, who, as you know, every time I say her name, I am continuing to call her into my universe. She'll be part of my BFF posse. I'll be part of her BFF posse. I'm just saying it's going to happen in 2026. So there you have it. So a couple of days ago, we started by looking at card number 52, and that card was about mending. We talked about mending the fences of our relationships. And part of what we talked about was avoiding the pass-through, which is where we kind of bypass issues that come up in our relationships, but also trying to make sure that when we want to get them resolved, that we're doing it in a way that pulls attachment out of the equation. So we're not attached to the outcome. We're truly curious about having a conversation about what happened in a relationship and how that might inform what we do next and how we learn and grow from these situations. So we also talked about the fact that it's really more about you than it is about them. It's about you forgiving yourself. It's about you taking those lessons forward into what's next for you or the next phase of that relationship, whatever that is. So really focused on what it is about you. We also, by way of reminder, just, said, hey, you know what? If we're going to move cleanly, if our energy is going to be clean moving into 2026, we really have to forgive. We have to forgive ourselves, first and foremost, and we have to forgive those who have hurt us. And then we talked a little bit about what we do if the other party is not on the same page with you and not aligned in how you approach problem resolution and potentially conflict resolution. So if we have one person who's kind of leaning in a way that's not attached and one person that's leaning out, maybe even to the level of avoidance, what do we do there? So we talked a little bit about that. Then yesterday, we talked about card number 32. This is the here and now. And we really were focused on being energetically, emotionally, mentally, and in most cases, physically present, whether it's physically present virtually or physically present in person, but having our whole person present in that relationship. And we talked about trying to make sure we're not hanging out in the past or hanging out in the future, because frankly, neither of those exist anyway. And even the present moment, if you look very carefully, doesn't exist because it very quickly moves one way or the other to the illusions of the past or the future. So some of the things that we also challenged, we had one specific challenge actually, and that was to engage in an exercise where we document all the times when we are with someone or engaged in an activity with someone and where we are not present, where we are either daydreaming about possible futures or hanging out in past, whether the past is, the positive past or maybe even the not so positive past. So if you're bringing up old wounds, so let me know in the comments how that went for you. It was very enlightening for me. So I get the opportunity to improve in a lot of those areas, just like I imagine all of us do. So, and let me know if there were any surprises and you feel vulnerable enough to put those in the comments. I definitely want to hear them. So, and then the other thing we really talked about was, do we understand that our spirit guides, our counsel, loves us, and do we understand the depth to which they love us? And I gave you some examples of my grandmother and a past love who is one of my spirit guides now. And I will tell you, and I mentioned yesterday, like, they're always there, they always answer, like all the always. There was a laundry list of those things, 3 or 4 of them. And I will tell you, this morning in my meditation this morning, I was asking my guides for some specific guidance on a specific situation. And I was very specific this time. And it was a very interesting meditation. So what I, among other things that I do every morning, which take generally about an hour, I do about an hour in the morning and then an hour or so in the evening, give or take a little bit of time in the evenings. But these are my non-negotiable bookends of my day. So in the morning, there's many things that I do as far as, I clear energy, I do a lot of meditation. And one of the meditations that I do is a meditation where I'm asking for specific guidance on an issue that is either on my mind or maybe has come up that I would like some guidance on. So I did that this morning and I was very specific. Oftentimes I'll be kind of general, like what do I need to know today? Or I've got this general overarching challenge that I'm working on. And so, what general guidance do you have for me? Today was very specific. And it was specific in that I needed to know the next steps on one specific thing that was going on. And I went into meditation, so I will ask the question and I'll go into meditation for a little bit. And the answers were very clear. And they showed up like right away. My guides were there, Johnny on the spot, like they always are. And they were very specific about what the next steps were. And so this is just another example of really what happens when we understand how much our guides love us. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm the first one to be very, very sassy with my guides. And I also love them very, very much, and I respect them. And so when I went in and was asking for this guidance, the first thing I said was, I commit to doing exactly what you tell me to do, and I will not vary from it today specifically. Because I wanted their answer. I wanted it to be specific. I wanted it to direct me. And if it had come through not specific, I was going to ask some clarifying questions of them. But it came through very, very specific. I literally got steps like do this and then this and then this and this. And I was like, got it. It's done. I'm going to work on it today. So that just comes about by knowing that how much they love you and engaging in that conversation with them spiritually, also energetically, and also sometimes I just talk out loud to myself, but I'm not talking to myself, I'm talking to them. So knowing they love you and feeling that love and letting them give you that love and know that you're feeling it. That's what we talked about. So, and then also we talked about, are we loving ourselves? Are we loving ourselves the way that we want others to love us? This is the, being a good partner to attract the good partnerships in your life that you want kind of deal. So this gets us to today. So today's card is card number 27. It is exchanging gifts. And so in numerology, 27 is a 9. And this is interesting. 9 is about completion, compassion, and humanity, generally speaking. It presents itself on the positive side as altruism, generosity, being idealistic, and also wisdom. And then on the shadow side, it presents itself as, it can present itself as overgiving. It can present itself as detached, resentful, and even escapist. So when we're talking about this specific card, we're not going to be in the shadow area. We're going to stay in the positive area because this card's meaning, generally, the overall meaning is the law of giving and receiving. So exchanging gifts is about reciprocity. And it's also about determining value. And this specifically, I'm going to be talking about determining value in our relationships. Okay, this is a continuation of a theme we've been talking about for weeks now. So, so when we look at love, at what love is in relationships, the bottom line is love is the exchange of life force energy between two beings, human and non-human, human and spirit, human and, when I say non-human, I think pet or even other sentient beings like plants and animals. But it's that life force exchange between those two beings. this is no different than monetary exchange. Monetary exchange is also just energy. It's an exchange of energy. It says, I'm going to give you this amount of money for this service, and it's energy that was put into the monetary, that the monetization of that, and then money that was presented to reciprocate the value that was received. So money is an energetic exchange, and relationships are an energetic exchange of love. So when love is reciprocated, and when I say reciprocated, I mean fully reciprocated. So, right, when you have two beings that, first of all, agree on what reciprocity means, and then reciprocate fully, love will grow exponentially. And I've seen this happen in many, actually all of my closest friendships. When that reciprocity happens, like, those relationships jump into the stratosphere, and they are deeply, deeply loving, deeply caring, deeply, deeply compassionate. And remember, I talked a few days ago, well, maybe a couple weeks ago now, we talked about compassion, not just being compassion as in the warm, fuzzy, loving compassion, but also it can be a little bit wrathful. It can be, kind of helping that other person stay within the framework of their own authenticity, and helping them kind of continue to move towards and advance along whatever path they've chosen for themselves. So it can look rough, I'll just say, but it is still compassion. So we talk about both sides of compassion, and I'm always going to mention both sides, because oftentimes, if you're like me, when I was growing up, and frankly long into my adulthood, where even I had most of my gray hair, I thought compassion was just love. It's just warm and fuzzy, and it's just cozy, and it's like a warm hug or a nice blanket on a cold day. No. And then I learned, no, girl, it is not just about that. True compassion is that. It has those components, but it is non-attached. It says, I am extending to you the compassion that you need to go further down your path. So it can look warm and fuzzy, but that's also non-attached. But it also can look like, it can be like, a little bit rough around the edges when you're really trying in an altruistic way to move that other person and remind them of who they really are and what they're really about. So that's really enough about that. Here's the thing. When it comes to the law of giving and receiving and reciprocity in relationships, we have to be willing to not only give love, but also receive love. And some of us have challenges with giving it, and some of us have more, or let me rephrase that. Some of us have more challenges with giving it than receiving it, and some of us have more challenges with receiving it than giving it. I am the latter, or I was the latter. So, and I recall very specifically, I think I've mentioned it on this channel before, when I was a freshman in college, freshman or sophomore, maybe sophomore, I had an issue with a nerve that got pinched in my neck, and it caused both of my hands to just go numb and not really function, like not function at all. And I was, I went to the doctor, obviously, and they created these splints. They actually had to make them. I don't understand why they had to make them, but it doesn't matter. So I had my hands basically pretty much incapacitated. I could kind of use my fingers a little bit, but that was about it. And I had a really good friend that was also in architecture school with me, and we lived in the same dorm. And I remember one day she just kept watching me struggle and struggle and struggle to go through the cafeteria line with these little, fingers. That's all I had. And I can only imagine how hilarious and just can't even imagine how funny that was to watch, at least at first. But that was not who she was. She was someone who loved me and who had compassion for me. And she wanted to be able to express that by helping me. And I was too proud to accept it. And so here I am fumbling around with my little fingers, to, trying to make the best out of a terrible situation. And I remember her saying to me, Molly, why won't you just let me love you in this way by helping you? And I thought, oh, that's a good point. I'd never considered that my refusal of her help was refusal of her love, her giving love and my receiving of love. And it kind of set me on a journey to really look at the ways in which I have pushed love away and hadn't wanted to receive it. And so that journey has been it's ongoing, of course, but I am much, much happier to receive love today than I ever have been. But if you have a little resistance to somebody that offers you some help, it might be time to kind of take a look at, am I able to receive love? Am I able to receive this help that's expressed out of a place of altruism and wisdom and love? Yeah, so I'm even reminding myself of that. So we have to be able to give it and receive it. And that is the only way and the only set of circumstances under which love is going to flourish in our lives, and where there's going to be an abundance of the flow of love between you and that other person in your relationship. And it's any relationship. You can insert any relationship into this equation. So if you have problems giving or receiving love, it means that you have to make yourself vulnerable. And this can really trigger our nervous systems. And so we have to go to a place where we're willing to drop our guard a little bit and allow that love to come in. And also maybe drop our guard to be able to give love, because that can be really scary too for a lot of people, because, who knows? What if I express love, or I do something nice for someone, or I care about someone and they don't reciprocate, right? Somebody's got to take the first step. And so am I willing to be brave enough and vulnerable enough to do that? Yeah, so this is big. And I have my own rule of reciprocity that I'm going to share with you as we kind of close out today's conversation. And my rule is this. We talked about the shadow side of the number 9 being the potential for overgiving. I definitely have that potential. So my personal rule of reciprocity is evolving, and it still remains intact. So my rule for myself and the way I live my life is to always try to give more than I receive. I always want to give more than I receive. Now, I don't want to overgive. And I'm not going to be a doormat, right? So I also am going to give more self-love, right? And I'm going to make sure that I have good boundaries in place. So we are not talking about being a doormat. That is not what my rule of reciprocity is about at all. And frankly, the goal line, not the goal line so much, but the framework of that and the boundaries around that tend to ebb and flow a little bit as I learn more and experience more in my life. But I do always want to make sure that I am at least trying to give more than I am receiving, because that is me being authentic to who I am. Okay, not a doormat, still boundaried, and boundaries get reinforced at times when it's needed. But that is my law of reciprocity. And what I found in my life is that most often, not all the time, I do get disappointed from time to time. But most often, if I take that approach, I am being the good partner that I want in others, and I am met with great partnerships. And so I've had many, many wonderful partnerships over my life. I have many in place right now. And honestly, I attribute it to that, just being authentically who I am, which is someone who just loves people and wants to see them succeed and gives more than they get. But I also must get. So the law of reciprocity, especially recently, has become very, very important to me on the receiving side. I've been reminded that the receiving part is very important as well. So that's it for today, chickadees. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. And I really look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Please hit subscribe. We're trying to boost our subscription the rest of this year and grow this channel so we can provide more services for people. And hopefully, if you find this helpful, just tell your friends and family about it. One other quick thing. So if you'll note in the comment or in the notes section for this video, there's a link to our website. So we are offering clarity calls for folks who want to take advantage of that. Where you can just come and bring your question and we'll dive into it together with Spirit and work it out. So we'll touch on your fears around that, and then we'll look at, what your next steps might be. So that's a really great service if it speaks to you. And then the other thing that we're doing is what is basically a forecast oracle pool. It's an individual card pool for you. We will pull 13 cards. The first one will be the theme for 2026 for you. And then the other 12 will be what you can expect for each month of the year and what you might be on the lookout for. I use this every year. I do one of these for myself. I don't pull my own cards when I do the forecast. I actually go and have someone else do it for me. And I found it to be really, really accurate. So I literally have have notes where every month it's like, okay, this was the card that was pulled. So like in December, I have the card that was pulled, an image of it, and then I have the kind of, what the message was for me, and then I have what actually happened that month. And it's been really, really interesting to go back and look at that over the course, not only of this past year, but every year that I've done it. So we are offering those as well. If you'd like to take advantage of that, you can go to our website at molly-jones.com and sign up for yours. So have a wonderful day. Hit subscribe and like, and we will see you next time, chickadees. Mwah.